Good morning. It is beautiful this morning, so I'm outside in my yard and I was stitching on my Kawandi quilt, and I thought that I would talk a little bit about random versus improv in my Kawandi style quilting. I've had several students remark on they can't get their Kawandi to look random like mine, and I'm a little bit hurt because my Kawandi fabric selections are not random. They're actually very thoughtful as I'm doing them. They're very thoughtful, and maybe I need to explain a little bit. And I'm actually not hurt. I'm just surprised because I don't think of what I do as random. Random to me is dump it into a bag, pull it out randomly, just stitch down whatever you get. No thought goes into it. I actually really audition every single piece of fabric I put into my Kawandi as I'm making it to make sure that it looks just right and that the fabrics are talking. And I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean. Okay. This is the Kawandi style quilt that I'm working on right now. And if you go back to my video entitled Kawandi Start on the Long Arm or something, really catchy title, you'll know that these big bars of fabric here, they were placed to help me organize my color flow across the quilt. I really like playing with color. I like transitions in color, and I like fooling around and seeing how the fabric works with itself. There's a book by Joseph Albers, which is kind of, I guess, one of these seminal books on color theory, and it talks about how colors interact with each other and different colors look different against other colors. And I really like playing with that, and I like playing with it in fabric in a way that I can touch and feel. So you can see, so I was noticing what I do, so we come around and we add pieces of fabric one at a time, and the bars were helping me know that this is where the section's going to be red and this is where it's going to be orange. And here's my little quilt inspector Oscar coming to say hi. This is obviously his quilt, as are all of the quilts, and he'd like to be on it. Where was I? Okay, so this is the red section, so I'm coming around and I'm adding red fabrics, and I'm looking and I'm making sure, so this one, I was partway through, I was getting a little frustrated that I didn't have more fabrics, because I'm a scrappy quilter. Why would you use 2 fabrics in a quilt when you could use 2,000? So I have, I was upset that I didn't have another red that was just right. So I made a little collage piece that has the reds and it has the oranges, and it also used up these weirdo triangle scraps that are hard to incorporate into Kawandi usually. And I raw edge appliqued them down with a spiral stitch, and I'm interested to see how they fray. But that has nothing to do about the random versus improv. I'm a big proponent of improvisational quilting, and there's a little bit of a misnomer. A lot of people go, improv, oh, that's those curves. Improv doesn't mean curves. Improvisational means you're on a journey and you don't know where you're going, but you're having fun along the way. That's what it means to me. There's no curves in my Kawandi. I mean, not yet. I haven't tried that yet. I'm not really intrigued by that concept yet. I'm still having fun with the straight lines. But improv to me means that I make design decisions as I go along. So when I'm doing this, I decided, all right, well, this patch needs a little more action than one solid color can give me. I'm going to make a little collage. And then I have another orange. And so the colors start to move more to orange. This is more of an orangey red than this one. And then this one is red with kind of a cream color. So it's moving me more towards the orange, and here's an orange stripe. So as I put each piece down, I want to see how they interact with the colors around them. And then of course I have a couple in the quilt of this kind of yellowy, I have a couple of yellow patches and a couple of lime, kind of acid green ones, just to give an unexpected pop, a little bit of sparkle in the quilt. But you can see, I'm transitioning. I'm moving from a bright deep red over to kind of a more rusty browny orangey color system. So I'm looking at these, and so when I put this one in, I wanted to be more orange. So I got this orange, and this has these little white crosses. And then as I came, and it worked well with this little orange, because this orange has brighter orange and lighter orange, but it helps transition to a lighter section. So every fabric has these kind of relationships in it. So this one, I have this orange over here and this kind of pinky over here, and they're flipped, but they're helping move the color around. So this is why when people say, I can't get my Kawandi to look as random as yours, I'm like, what? They're not random. But until you spend a long time looking at them, it may not be immediately obvious, which I understand, because you don't have to spend 6 weeks looking at this thing in your lap. You're only going to look at it in a picture for maybe a minute. But I wanted people to know that my design choices are actually really thoughtful. And that's not required on your quilts. You can be random if you want. But to me, random means if I just grab it randomly out of the bag, I'm not going to get these color flows that I like to play with. I'm not going to really learn much. I'm just going to be stitching them down without thinking. And these projects are where I get to let my little insane brain exercise. When I'm doing Kawandi, if I don't have an audiobook in, I'm thinking, and I'm often thinking weird, deep thoughts and coming up with ideas for things to play with. And this is where I get to experiment. Like, I don't just stitch things down. I'm actually really thinking about them, sometimes really hard. And thinking that I definitely need to go to the fabric store to get some more colors, because I think that this may have been my last piece of this fabric. But so when you're stitching, just have fun, do what you need to do. It's fine. If you're feeling like your piece isn't random enough, maybe let that go, because traditional Kawandi are definitely not random. The makers are definitely thinking about their fabrics. They do spend a lot of time auditioning their fabrics. And for us, it may not be obvious what their design scheme is, because they are living in a rural village in India. Their cultural background and ideas of beauty are totally different than ours, but their pieces are very, very thoughtful too. They just don't make sense to us because it's in a different language. And I mean a different color and culture language, not just word language, which it's also that. But all right, I hope you get to stitch today, and boy, my goodness, I hope that everybody gets to enjoy some beautiful 60-degree weather today. I had to get up early for this, and it was totally worth it. But I'm going to go back to stitching, and I hope you get to make a Kawandi today too. Oh, and by the way, if you want more nonsense from me, you can find me at dizzyquilter.com. I'm at Jen Strouser on Instagram, and I have a blog, dizzyquilter.com is the blog. Jen Strouser is the Instagram, and I have a Facebook group called Kawandi Style Quilting with Jen Strouser, which is starting to take off, which is really interesting, and I'll be sharing more in there too. Bye.